Who was Nebuchadnezzar II, the greatest king of Babylon? In today's video, we will unveil the secrets, achievements, and incredible feats of a character who left his indelible mark on history. A story that will open the doors of knowledge, where you will discover who was Nebuchadnezzar II, the greatest king of Babylon. We are on the banks of the Euphrates River in the legendary Babylon, a city that saw the birth of empires and the flourishing of civilizations. And at the center of it all, an extraordinary leader emerges from the shadows, shaping the destiny of an era. It's time to explore the past and unveil the greatness that is Nebuchadnezzar II. And so our saga begins in the meanders of the 7th century BC, when the Middle East was experiencing change. In the shadows of the decline of the Great Assyria, a new chapter was about to be written, starring a young leader destined to leave his mark on history. Nebuchadnezzar II, born in 642 BC, was predestined to lead. His name, a poetry to tradition and protection, echoed in every corner of ancient Babylon. Son of Nabopolassar, from an early age he demonstrated exceptional military cunning, earning respect in campaigns aimed at expanding Babylonian territories. The Battle of Harran, in 609 BC, was the first symphony of Nebuchadnezzar's rise. Fighting alongside his father, he witnessed the fall of the once mighty Assyria. At that moment, the world began to realize that a new leader had emerged, a formidable strategist who would change the destinies of Babylon. But the real assertion of power came in 605 BC, at the epic Battle of Carchemish. Facing the formidable pharaoh Necho II of Egypt, Nebuchadnezzar emerged victorious, cementing his place as the region's supreme leader. The sands of time echo this moment, marking the beginning of a golden age for Babylon and its visionary monarch. The roar of battle echoed on the winds of the Middle East, and at the center of this tumult was the genius strategist, Nebuchadnezzar II. After the initial victories, his military journey continued, marking immortal pages in the annals of history. The Battle of Harran in 609 BC was just a prelude to Nebuchadnezzar's military mastery. The Assyrian colossus succumbed to strategic cunning, consolidating Babylonian power. However, it was in 605 BC, on the plains of Carchemish, that the true epic was created. Face to face with the powerful pharaoh Necho II of Egypt, Nebuchadnezzar II not only faced a threat, but forged a destiny. The Battle of Carchemish was a clash of the titans, a moment that reverberated for ages to come. Egypt, once invincible, bowed before the Babylonian military genius. The victory at Carchemish was not just a territorial conquest, it was a testament to Nebuchadnezzar's tactical mastery. Pharaoh Necho II, defeated and humiliated, saw his empire fragment before his eyes, while Babylon rose as an unparalleled force in the region. The chronicles of the Battle of Carchemish reverberate through the pages of history, immortalizing Nebuchadnezzar II as the architect of his own rise. This epic chapter not only consolidated Babylonian power, but laid the foundation for the greatness that was to come. With the scent of victory still in the air, Nebuchadnezzar II did not rest on his laurels of war. His vision reached beyond the battlefields. It extended to the horizons of the grandeur he desired for Babylon. Returning triumphant, not just as a conqueror but as a visionary, Nebuchadnezzar began a monumental chapter in Babylonian history. It was time to build, to erect monuments that would defy time itself and raise the city to levels never before imagined. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon, a marvel erected in honor of its queen Amytis, became a symbol not only of love but of architectural ingenuity. The layers of lush vegetation defied gravity, leaving a legacy that echoes in the minds of those who contemplated it. It is worth mentioning that the Hanging Gardens are considered one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. The Ishtar Gate, majestic and imposing, became the entrance that not only greeted those arriving in the city, but also witnessed the grandeur of a rising empire. Its majestic sculptures and artistic grandeur turned it into a portal to a world where Babylon reigned supreme. Nebuchadnezzar was very concerned with creating a splendid city and flaunting his power, a characteristic that led him to build the so-called Tower of Babel, biblical name, or ziggurat. tower of various elevations that had an astronomical observatory at the top. Not just a physical construction, but an assertion of power and ambition. Nebuchadnezzar II not only ruled lands, he erected testimonies of grandeur that would stand the merciless test of time. Babylon, now adorned by these colossal monuments, became not only a center of power, but a city immortalized by the deeds of its visionary king. Empire building was not just physical, it was a narrative of grandeur that unfolded in the carved stones and foundations that echo to this day. Nebuchadnezzar II was not just a master of battle and a visionary architect. He was also a patron of arts and culture. His reign saw the flowering of an era where knowledge and artistic expression reached new heights under the shadow of his wings. His unwavering support for cuneiform writing, the ancient form of communication in Babylon, was more than an act of preservation. It was an investment in the cultural legacy of his people. The clay tablets, engraved with the intricate symbols of cuneiform, became chroniclers of Babylonian life, achievements, and wisdom. Nebuchadnezzar II not only celebrated knowledge, but also promoted the worship of the god Nabu, the god of arts and wisdom. His devotion to Nabu was not just spiritual, but a public declaration of recognition for the importance of literature, wisdom, and understanding in Babylonian society. Under his reign, sages and scribes flourished, contributing to Babylon's growing intellectual treasury. Nebuchadnezzar's library, filled with tablets and scrolls, was a center of learning, where curious minds could explore the knowledge accumulated over the ages. Thus, while Nebuchadnezzar II physically built the greatness of Babylon, he also laid the foundations of a cultural legacy that would transcend temporal boundaries. His reign wasn't just about empires and architecture. It was a symphony of expression, knowledge, and respect for the intrinsic richness of Babylonian civilization. Every great story has its final chapter, and thus, we are faced with the epilogue of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar II. Time, relentless in its journey, eventually caught up with the monarch who shaped eras and cities. With Nabopolassar's death in July 605 BC, Nebuchadnezzar hurried back to Babylon to claim his place on the throne. The heir now ascended to the highest rank, but not without challenges and intrigue in a court where ambition often obscured loyalty. King Nebuchadnezzar II, the architect of glories, saw his reign transform into a duality. As he consolidated power and preserved Babylonian grandeur, he faced internal and external challenges that threatened to destabilize the empire he had so determinedly built. The death of the great king triggered a series of events that would mark the end of Babylon's golden age. The seeds of decadence were sown, and the winds of change were blowing through the pillars that supported the empire that Nebuchadnezzar II had so zealously built. But even in the sunset, Nebuchadnezzar's legacy persisted. His conquests, his magnificent buildings, and his cultural influence lasted beyond his death. Although he witnessed the end of an era, the flame he lit continued to illuminate Babylon's path across the vastness of time. Nebuchadnezzar was the most powerful king of the Babylonian Empire. He conquered the kingdom of Judah and destroyed Jerusalem. The prophet Daniel served in the court of King Nebuchadnezzar. The Bible tells how Nebuchadnezzar conquered the kingdom of Judah. In his first campaign against Egypt, Nebuchadnezzar invaded Judah and forced King Jehoiakim to become his vassal. 2 Kings 24 verse 1. He took some young men of Judah's nobility, including Daniel and his friends, to Babylon. Jehoiakim, king of Judah, in the third year of Babylonian rule over his kingdom, rebelled and declared independence. However, Jehoiakim died and his son Jehoiakim ascended the throne. Nebuchadnezzar II, emperor of Babylon, attacked Jerusalem, and his soldiers surrounded the city. Joachim surrendered. Nebuchadnezzar conquered the city and took the valuable objects that were in the temple of Jerusalem so that they could be taken to the temple of his god, in the treasury room. You find this story in 2 Kings 24 verse 12 to 17. So Nebuchadnezzar, according to the biblical account, called Ashpenaz, the chief of his eunuchs, and ordered him to choose among the young Israelite prisoners from the families that had led the Jewish rebellion, that is, from the royal family and nobles. Physicists, they must be cultured and educated, and they would need to learn the language and study the writings of the Babylonians to prepare them for government service. Among those chosen were Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Ashpenaz gave them other Babylonian names, that is, Belteshazzar, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, respectively. They lived in the royal palace, today identified with the archaeological site of Khazar, on the western bank of the Euphrates. According to rabbinic tradition, Daniel and other Jewish princes were castrated by order of the Babylonian king, with the aim of discouraging leadership and frustrating the feeling of independence among the dominated people. After 3 years of training, Daniel and his companions were introduced to Nebuchadnezzar, who, according to the report, found them 10 times better than all the magicians and astrologers in his kingdom. Nebuchadnezzar placed Zedekiah, Jehoiakim's uncle, on the throne of Judah. 9 years later, Zedekiah rebelled and Nebuchadnezzar besieged Jerusalem again. The siege lasted almost 2 years. Finally, in 586 BC, Nebuchadnezzar invaded the city, captured Zedekiah, and after killing his sons, put out his eyes, and took him prisoner to Babylon, with almost the rest of the people of Judah. Jeremiah 52 verses 10 to 11. Nebuchadnezzar destroyed the temple of God and the city of Jerusalem, 2 Kings 25 verses 8 to 10. He also had many Israelite officials killed, including some priests. The story of Nebuchadnezzar told in the episode with Daniel and his friends will be the subject of another video. And so, with the departure of Nebuchadnezzar II, Babylon closed a chapter in its history, but not before leaving an indelible mark on the tapestry of time. Nebuchadnezzar reigned for 43 years, until 562 BCE. A bolt of grandeur that would continue to inspire tales and legends, echoing through the halls of antiquity to the present day. And so we conclude our first journey through the history of Nebuchadnezzar II, the great king of Babylon. His life was an epic of achievements, monumental constructions, and a legacy that resonates through the centuries. Thank you for embarking on this journey with us. If you enjoyed this time travel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more historical adventures. And of course, comment below about which era or historical figure you'd like to explore next time. See you later. Shalom.